Hey, BookTube, welcome back to the History Shelf. This is part two of my used book haul from Second and Charles. My history haul, as I'm calling it, because most of it's history. Yeah, I don't think there's anything in here except maybe a couple anthropologies, which I ended on the last one. So here's the second bag. So heavy. This is such a workout. Oh, yeah. Oh, and they're all heavy. Ooh. It's like you could do like curls, dumbbells with them. Okay. Come on. All right. All right. It's been a while since I pulled this bag out. We thought we were moving. Anyway, thanks for coming back. If you haven't watched part one, it's going to seem like a very abrupt intro. I'm just going straight into the second part of the bags, but do check out part one if you tuned into this one by accident. Second bag of books I picked up, and this kind of actually goes with the other book that I'm going to show you, but this is The Story of Philosophy by Will Durant. The Lives and Opinions of the Great Philosophers. Look at this book. A Liberal Education in Itself, one of the best loved books of our time. As you know, Will and Ariel Durant put together that massive, I forget how many volumes, but I have them on my shelf behind me. You can see them right there. That's the story of civilization. So I've kind of collected them, used copies over the years. But this is his standalone about the story of philosophy. And this was like $3.95, and it's like a beautiful, it's still in great conditions, deckle-edged. It's got that old book smell, and you know oh, look at, I might even have to get rid of the dust jacket again. Look at this, look at how beautiful this is. They don't make books like this anymore. Look at that. Ah! Yeah, I think I might take a, I don't really, yeah, it's like, that's fine. But that'll go right on the shelf with the others right there. Yeah, and this copy was this is not this was a second printing because there's a preface to the second edition. It says here 12. Oh, it says 12th printing, but it doesn't say what year this was printed. I don't know, but it's looking pretty awesome. Let me hold this up while I read it. I'll just read from the dust jacket. It says here, sorry, I'm a little too close. This is an endlessly inspiring and instructive chronicle of the world's great thinkers from Socrates to Santayana. In these pages, Will Durant has made philosophy live and dance and sing. Little wonder that in this celebrated book, more than 1 million American readers have discovered and rediscovered and enhanced the enduring satisfactions and rewards of that noblest pleasure, the joy of understanding. The story of philosophy gives not only the ideas and philosophical systems of the world-famous monarchs of the mind, such as Plato, Aristotle, Francis Bacon, Spinoza, Kant, Voltaire, Locke, and others of similar stature, but their flesh and blood biographies. So that's great. That's cool. It also gives their setting in their own time and their place and influence in our modern intellectual heritage. These pages are packed with wisdom and winged with wit. 11 years of research and 3 years of actual writing went into the creation of this book, which, while written with exacting and scrupulous scholarship, is not meant solely for scholars. It is designed to command the respect of educators and at the same time capture the interest of the layman. Not only the titans of older days, but the most famous contemporary philosophers are here presented and illumined, including Bergson, Croce, Russell, Santayana, and Dewey. This is a book that has proved its survival value because it opens vistas of intellectual adventure and growth to those who hunger for the total perspective, which is philosophy, and who seek the wisest and most indestructible answers of the world's greatest philosophers to the persistent and fundamental questions about first and last things. It's funny. They mentioned first and last things, first things. That's the name of a journal I subscribe to. it's kind of Catholic in origin, and I'm not Catholic, but I can read stuff and it doesn't from different areas, and it doesn't affect my my philosophical and spiritual where I'm coming from. But first and last things, I think that's interesting. You can tell that this jacket copy was definitely written. No one writes like that anymore, really. I don't hear people talking about first and last things, except in journals such as First Things. I think the last date in here in the copyrights, which I think this is a 1933 book. You guys, I've got even an older book than the other one. That's 1933. Is that possible? I don't know. Anyway, I don't know about that. So I was pretty happy to get this one, and kind of goes in with the next book. Now, I do believe I've completed my entire collection of Durant's Story of Civilization, except for the first one, which our Oriental Heritage is the first volume in the series, and I think I had like a hardcover Barnes and Noble version, which I don't know where it is, and I kind of want one that has the old. Has this type of cover, the red. Anyway, this one I bought because it was only $2.95. $2.95, and it's in pristine condition. I don't know who priced this at Second and Charles, but it's worth way more than that. It's The Age of Faith, in the Story of Civilization, and this is volume 4. Big chunkster of a book, beautiful condition. I already had this one, but in not as good condition. Let me grab it real quick here. Hang on. Yeah. Okay, so I had an edition, as you can see. Okay. It's a bit more beat up. I think it is. Look at that. And then look at that. Whatever, it was $2.95, and I know this version was kind of, it's some, like, I had some crumpled pages, and I might just sell this one back. It's very loose. The binding is very loose, loosey-goosey. And this one is very brand new, very tightly bound. So I was, for $2.95, I said I'm going to get a version that's going to last a long time. So, yeah, so I got the Age of Faith, and and it just covers everything. I really enjoy the Story of Civilization series. I'm not through it, obviously. It's so much to read, but the writing is just elegant. And it just takes you back to a more indulgent historical period of writing that was very artistic. And I really enjoy that. All right, so so I replaced a bit of a loose copy with a stronger one, so I was happy. And it kind of, goes with the story of philosophy, and yay! All right. Whoops, on to the next. Ow! I'm already injuring myself. Okay, so this was yet another book that I decided to get, even though I had another copy. I'm starting to move into this category now. This has never happened to me before. And I guess that says a lot about me as a bookish person, that it's only happening now. I'm not going to say how old I am, but I think it's a fairly, I'll say advanced age. But I have avoided buying books based on their editions to replace books I already own, because I've never done that before. I'm like, I own the book, I own the content, that's all that matters. Well, now I'm like, this edition matches the others that I have by this author in this certain, format, whether it's hardcover, softcover, edition size, But I already have this one, but I had it in a small. It doesn't fit the other books in the series, and it's by the author Richard Pipes, who's a Russian historian. And the one I had is a like this big little paperback, and it doesn't match the other books, which are taller. So when I came across this, I'm like, this actually fits much better. And this is Russia Under the Old Regime by Richard Pipes. So again, this is a book I have, but it's in a much smaller version, you know. And I like having a taller, bigger book for this type of history. And of course, and this one it says a new foreword by the author. Now, I think the other one I had also had a new foreword by the author. But you know what I'll do with that book is I'll sell it back for credit to Second and Charles. I guess I'll just do that. But what is this book? I have 3 of these by Richard Pipes. He's got the other 2 in this series, I believe, are the Russian Revolution and then Russia Under the Bolsheviks. Okay, but let me just read this real quick to you. It says here, hailed by the Washington Post as one of America's great historians, the distinguished professor of Russian history at Harvard, Richard Pipes, has written a landmark work on the emergence of Russia from the 9th century to the end of the 19th century. Russia Under the Old Regime traces with compelling detail the evolution of the Russian state, where the Tsar claimed to own the land and its inhabitants as if they were his own personal property. Professor Pipes analyzes the political behavior of Russia's peasantry, nobility, and bourgeoisie, as well as its clergy, showing why none of them could limit the absolute power of the state. He discusses how the intelligentsia challenged the Tsar's power, leading to increased repression and Russia's development as a bureaucratic police state. This sweeping epic brings Russia's turbulent history to life and helps us better understand the roots of modern Russia. So this would be the first book that I would read in the Richard Pipes catalog. And then I think the next one I would read is Revolutionary Russia. No, the Russian Revolution is the next one, and then Russia Under the Bolsheviks. So, yeah. So again, and it was like for $5. I was like, let me get this bigger version. So again, branching out into that new area where I am buying books based on the edition, you know. Okay. What is next? Wow. Okay, so I'm really curious to see if any of you guys have read this. I have never read any Norman Mailer. Never really cared to, you know, it's just like, oh, whatever, one of those contemporary writers that I was just like, nah. Norman Mailer, Philip Roth, whatever, I'm not into it. I came across this book, and I'm still trying to figure out if this is fiction or nonfiction, but it looked really good. And how can you resist anything having to do with the Kennedy assassination, right? So this is Norman Mailer's Oswald's Tale, an American mystery. Big, fat, hardcover. Look at that. Great condition. It's Random House. This book came out in 1995. All right. So, yeah, let me just read this to you. And let me know if you've read this book or what you think of it. In this book, Norman Mailer asks the essential question about the assassination of JFK. Not who killed Kennedy, but who was Oswald. For only by answering the latter question can we hope to answer the first. In 1959, Lee Harvey Oswald defected to the Soviet Union and was sent to Minsk, where he lived for 2.5 years and remained under constant KGB surveillance, on suspicion of being a CIA agent. In 1993, Norman Mailer spent 6 months in Russia, where he interviewed Oswald's former friends and sweethearts and obtained exclusive interviews with the KGB officers assigned to monitor Oswald's every move. He was also given exclusive access to the KGB files on Oswald, including transcripts of conversations overheard in the apartment that Lee shared with his Russian wife, Marina. In Oswald's Tale, an American mystery, Mailer reconstructs the life of this ambitious, if doom-laden young man, giving a full account for the first time not only of the Minsk years, a hitherto uncharted period in Oswald's life, but also of Oswald's disastrous childhood, his years in the Marine Corps, and the events leading from his return to the U.S. in 1961 to his death in Dallas in 1963. The portrait of Oswald that emerges will greatly surprise readers who have thought of Oswald as a hapless loner, socially awkward, inarticulate, and an unremarkable loser. Mailer writes that his portrait of Oswald depends upon, quote, the small revelations of separate points of view, end quote. In Russia, these include Rima, the fiercely patriotic in-tourist guide who met the 19-year-old Oswald on his arrival in the USSR and helped him obtain Soviet papers. Igor and Stepan, the earnest KGB agents assigned to track Oswald's every move, and the strong-willed, defiant Marina, who dreamed of a more exciting life than that offered by provincial Minsk and married Oswald to broaden her horizons. In America, they include Oswald's formidable mother, Marguerite, the charming and elusive CIA, quote, resource, Baron George de Mohrenschildt, and the pathetic Jack Ruby, whose motives Mailer analyzes brilliantly. We shall see. Okay, so it says here, this Oswald's Tale is a non-fiction masterpiece, a work of meticulous research and reportage, but the reporter in this case is our most distinguished novelist, who comes to the task not only with a sober respect for the facts, but with a novelist's power to bring these facts to vibrant life. Sorry for the horn. I had the window cracked just so I get a little bit of air in here. Apparently that was a bad idea. And this book is just massive. It's almost 700, it's over 700 pages. Wow, this book is, it's big. It is. Goodness. He's got transcripts in here, interviews. It's almost 800 pages. Not even counting the appendix and stuff. So, I had no idea that Norman Mailer wrote such a big nonfiction book on Oswald. So I'd like to know if you guys have the skinny on this. Let me know what you think. All right. Okay, so in that last video, and I ended on an anthropology book about the people in Africa, the Ik tribe. It was written by Colin Turnbull. It was called The Mountain People, right? Well, at the same time that I found that, I also saw, this is supposed to be one of his classics as well, but this is called The Forest People, a study of the pygmies of the Congo. It has nice little paperback version here. I don't know what press this is, but it's $3, and I said, why not? It sounded really interesting. Yeah, the spine is broken in one spot. I might have to reinforce it. It's kind of cracked down the center right here. Like, I hate when that happens, but I'll make it work. Says here, The Forest People is a study of the Bambudi pygmies of the Congo, and it has become a classic work in the finest tradition of literate anthropology. Says here, Turnbull lived among the Bambudi for 3 years, not as a clinical observer from the outside world, but as a friend, learning their customs and sharing their daily life. In this celebrated account, he describes their hunting parties and nomadic camps, their love affairs and ancient ceremonies, the Molimo, in which the pygmies praise the forest as provider, protector, and deity, the Elima, in which the young girls come of age, and the Nkumbi, circumcision rites, in which the villagers of the surrounding non-pygmy tribes attempt to assert their authority over the pygmies, whose forest home they dare not enter. Yeah, so this came out, this version, let's see here, 1962. So it looks kind of interesting. You know, again, I love reading about different, especially like not lost tribes because they weren't lost, but you know, the fast disappearing ways of life, the tribal peoples across the globe. I've always been so fascinated by them and their lives. And yeah, you can tell how old this book was printed. It's $3.95 on the cover. No, I paid $3.15, but yeah, this definitely, you know, it's got a few photos in there. I'm gonna have to reinforce that break along the spine, but so I picked that one up as well. Oh, I forgot. I picked up 3 books by Colin Turnbull. Okay, so I've got the mountain people, the forest people, and then I found this one. And I decided to get a trifecta of Turnbull books. And this is Colin Turnbull's The Human Cycle. He searches in the rich diversity of human society for the life patterns we all share. So, slightly different in that he kind of takes a broader view and tries to, connect the dots. This was also like another $3-4 book. Let's see. It says here in this new book, Colin Turnbull surveys the very nature of human culture and, using as his gauge the non-Western societies he has studied, lived in, and loved, offers startling conclusions about the values of so-called primitive cultures and those of our own. The human cycle spans 4 continents and an entire lifetime to reveal the rich, complex, and intimate strands of its narrative. Drawn from societies as disparate as the Mbuti of Zaire, the Hindus of Benares, and middle-class Western society. This extraordinary, passionate, and illuminating book, as much a work of love as a work of science, describes the stages of man, childhood, youth, maturity, and old age, and shows that they are identical in their meaning in every culture. It also suggests that the problems of love, work, loneliness, growing up, and growing old may well be handled far better in just those societies that seem to us, quote, backward or primitive. And that behind all the different rites, customs, religions, and practices, all men and women live in the same eternal, immutable human cycle, governed by the same laws. In the words of the author, there are many who say that for the primitive, life was and is, in Hobbesian terms, nasty, brutish, and short. On the whole, anthropologists have found otherwise, and over the years have accumulated an enormous mass of data to support their view. This evidence is based on years of living within such societies, suffering the same deprivations, including sickness and sometimes premature death. If we measure a culture's worth by the longevity of its population, the sophistication of its technology, the material comforts it offers, then many primitive cultures have little to offer us. That is true. But our study of the life cycle will show that in terms of a conscious dedication to human relationships that are both affective and effective, so affective, affect with an A, effect with an E, the primitive is ahead of us all the way. He is working at it every stage of life, from infancy to death, while playing just as much as while praying. Whether at work or at home, his life is governed by his conscious quest for social order. Each individual learns the social consciousness as he grows up, and the lesson is constantly reinforced until the day he dies. And because of that social consciousness, each individual is a person of worth and value and important to society, also from the day of birth to the day of death. So that sounds fantastic. That's beautiful. So it's kind of covering, I love it. It's going into the stages of life and how, quote unquote, primitive cultures came at that topic. And I love the aspect of human relationships, how they pretty much perfected that and do perfect that focus. Whereas we put so much pressure, or not pressure, but we stress the importance of technology, and it is important. Look at us now. We're so separated as people. And then COVID, of course, is not helping. So technology does try to keep us connected. But I think that our, primitive tribal cultures have a lot that they can teach us. Just as much as we can teach them, they can teach us. So I'm really pleased that I found these 3 books by Colin Turnbull. I've never read his work before, so I'm excited to give his work a go. So I think we have 1 book left here. Hope you guys don't mind. I broke this up into 2 videos. I didn't want to do a whole hour video because apparently last time I did that, everything crashed and it was a huge headache. Yes, okay. So this kind of goes with the other book I showed in the other video about the Twilight Lords, about the wars between England and the clan chiefs in the 1600s of Ireland. This one takes a broader view throughout time. And it's also a Barnes & Noble book. So I'm betting these 2 books, this and the Twilight Lords, probably came there together from someone's library. But this is The Damnable Question, A History of Anglo-Irish Relations by George Dangerfield. You can see another Barnes & Noble production here. I've always wanted to understand the Troubles more, and Martina's told me of her experiences growing up there, and where they just every evening she lived in Dublin, and it was just horrible. And she, was kind of turned her off of organized religion to think that people could do things to each other in the name of a religion, or and not even just in the name of a religion, because it was also, I think, well, obviously nationalism had a lot to do with it as well, but I mean, there's a lot of terrorism going on. So I just want to understand more. I don't want to be as ignorant as I am about the Troubles in Ireland, because it really impacted her, and it impacted their entire generation before and after. I mean, it just, it runs deep. So, what does this say? It says here, what is now known as the Troubles had its tangled origins in near prehistoric conflicts between inhabitants of two separate islands. But the misery that is modern Irish history had a clear starting point: the Act of Union, which in 1800 politically conjoined Ireland and Great Britain. It is here that distinguished historian George Dangerfield begins his vigorous analysis of the events that have manifested themselves in almost 2 centuries of conflict, confusion, and bloodshed. Resolution of the Irish question was foremost in the minds of the English at the turn of the 19th century. In subsequent years, however, a confluence of dire circumstances prevented a peaceful solution through either union or separation. Ireland was burdened with a poverty that saw no relief with the Irish Poor Law. Malevolent land acts created new peasant classes and kept the Irish from living off the land they worked but did not own. That's a problem. The infamous famine of 1845 to 1850 spawned thousands of emigrants, many of whom made their way to America but continued to fund insurrection at home. England's attempts to repress dissent in Ireland only fueled an already growing Gaelic cultural revival. A self-governing Ireland, it seemed, was not to be had without violence. Then, with the partition of the island in 1922, 2 Irelands were born. In untangling a complex story that resonates with influences as diverse and as powerful as the spirit of... Oh, Martina, where are you when I need you? As the spirit of... Cuchulainn, Cuchulain, okay, and the specter of the Vatican, Dangerfield plumbs the often murky waters of passionate allegiances and ardent irrationalities. He exercises a sensitive touch in his renderings of the central players in the Irish drama, with profiles that humanize the politicians and the peerage, the rebels and the bystanders. Okay, so I thought this might be a good primer. You say primer, I say primer. It's whatever. Anyway, so I got the damnable question. So, that was 2 videos. So that's about an hour's worth. 2 bags worth of books from good old Second and Charles. And, yeah, I've got more stuff to show you guys. I bought some more used books on a whim. That I will show you in another video. Civil War stuff, which I know you guys really love. It's about time that I make another Civil War history recommendations video. I know I had an older video from 2 years ago, I think. It's still pretty popular. I keep seeing that showing up in my feed, that people really do like that. And I've had a few of you ask for more Civil War history recommendations. So I will work on that. And I bought some more some used Civil War history that I'm eager to show you. But in the meantime, guys, I hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving weekend. Again, if you have any comments on any of the books, I'm happy to hear. And let me know if you've read any of these and what you think. So until next time, BookTube, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for subscribing and liking. And we'll talk soon. Take care. Bye.